Here's part 2.
Probably ruined the whole process. But no, I just didn't have a math teacher that I think was inspiring, at least in that primary level. But I think my parents, they saw that like jumping through those hoops when I really did want to teach college. I knew that at a young age. Like I liked the ability to talk about things further that you can't at the public level. Yeah. You know, you can't talk about different elements in those situations.
You can't give them the whole picture.
Exactly.
Because, well, and there's things that, you know, there's times where it's like, I've seen people talk about things. It's like, they don't need to know that. They're not paying tuition to know that.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think it's a great career. And I almost took a high school group instead of getting my doctorate. It was a big discussion in my house of like it was a dream job. And I still to this day used to question it a lot. But I just know now that 3 or 5 years down the way, it still would have not been what got me to wake up in the morning. Like I would have loved it. I would have poured my heart and soul into it. But it still at the core was not. It wasn't fully me. And I think like that's, to keep wrapping this around, I guess, my brain just like on a loop, but that's what I think the bachelor's taught me. It was like, I really like talking about things on a higher level than, okay, Mozart was an old dude who wrote this tune and we love him for Ode to Joy. Let's go. Right. That was wrong. That was Beethoven. But anyways, what is that, 970?
Sorry, anyways, you're teaching jazz. It's fine.
Teaching jazz. Please forgive me. Even though I'm the GA for the musicology division, just ignore that. Dr. Barone, Lee, and Miller. But anyway, so...
that'll be a big... name drop. Reverse name drop.
Yeah, that's right.
Name throw.
But, I think we need to get out of that whole thing of when you leave your bachelor's, you know everything. Because that's when you actually suck. You should really just get those basic tools. And if you can do it at a basic level, then maybe you can make that decision of like, people always ask me like, why do you go to grad school? It's like, well, that's a personal decision. Yeah. You go to grad school because you found something you loved and you need more information on it because grad school is so...
That's not why people go to grad school, though. See, they go so they can get a job.
I disagree.
I went to do a master's degree because I had, at a very distant part of my brain, an idea that I can at least teach at a college in some way, right? And have that on my resume. But then why'd you choose
jazz? Because there's
because I had already bought the horns. I already have a bachelor's.
But it's what you're into, right? Well, like that's my point. Like I meet these people and they're like I hear all the time like these classical. I almost said cats. These classical people, they want to go do a jazz masters, and it's like, well, why? And it's like, well, I played in the jazz band. I really loved it. I was like, okay, so you found out that you hate what you went there for. No, I'm just kidding. But you found this new path. You found what interests you, or like people who get a composition degree instead of a performance degree. Like, why'd you choose that? Well, because I was introduced to it.
Well, I was hedging my bets too. It's like that maybe there's more opportunity outside of. That's where I was really diverged into like maybe that's not the best idea to try to just be a jazz professor because like you're. The knife is thrown in the middle of the arena and we're all kind of scrambling. You happen to get to it first and stab somebody. Now you have a job.
That's exactly how I got it. Rest in peace, Brian.
No, you worked very hard and you are incredibly credentialed and that's how you got it. But but that's it's like there's just at the end of the day someone else is almost as credentialed as you and didn't get the job. And there's like, and not just one person, there's like 200 other people, right?
The thing is like
a viable career.
The qualities, you have to be diverse. Like I can't say this enough, and that's not like in you as a person. It's just like, so to give an idea, like my resume had administration work on it. Yeah. I served on committees for my university. Yeah. Which you don't get paid for, and it's a lot of hours. Mm-hmm. But I would be the student representative on these committees. Of course, like what you witnessed when you were a GA, there's a lot of different elements within the administration that you can do, like running jazz festivals or, all of those sides. Logistics, being able to answer to, being the liaison between a school of music and a college of fine arts and a university. Right? There's so many levels within the higher education system. Yeah. But then on top of it, you have to be able to teach a bunch of different areas. I think the most unique thing that it's not in other areas. So I will predicate this. Like if you want to go into the classical area now, the reason they have more faculty is because they've won the, like, you are a true art form status. And so what that means to them is they are going to hire someone with theory credentials to teach the theory class. They're going to hire someone with history credentials to teach the history class. In the jazz realm, we're still at we need someone to teach the history and the theory and the applied lessons and run the ensemble. And because we're still, I think, trying to get that leg up of like, no, we're here and it's a real degree, I promise. And like,
yeah, and it's like, hey, look at our program has a jazz program. Look at that. Oh, we have a jazz band kind of thing.
It is.
Isn't that?
I will admit this. I think, like, what is the first thing I'm going to do this whole summer? And I don't want to put myself down. I've gotten a downbeat for my writing, and I've studied composition lessons with multiple people. I'm not going to put down my writing.
Play with Tia Fuller?
I did, and Ingrid
Play with Ingrid Jensen?
And Allison Miller, and name drop. But the thing though is, like, I still feel like if somebody who got a doctorate and a master's degree taught the arranging and composition class, that would be a different experience than me going in and teaching it. Yeah. Right? But for a jazz professor, though, you have to have that experience in all of those different areas. Yeah. And then you've got to be able to teach the history of it and your instrument. And you got to be able to lead a band, which has instruments that are not your instrument. Right? When I think of my classical colleagues, they teach their roundhouse all day. Yeah. Right? Like, I think about, like, Dr. Pennock teaches saxophone. Mm-hmm. She teaches woodwind methods. And she teaches basic theory. Yeah. Those are things in her roundhouse. Yeah. Where, like, for us on the jazz side, this is why that diversification really, really matters. Or if you want to teach at a community college, actually, this is another time where you really need to have lots of skills, because they're going to hire someone to teach all these classes, even in that classical realm. But, like, you know, you have to say yes to opportunities, even if they don't match what you think it's going to be. You know, when I was an undergrad, the president of the university sent out this call of he wanted students to be part of this first, like, board of ambassadors. And my parents were like, no, do not do that. That's extra time you do not have. Just don't. But for some reason I also wanted the free meals. I thought that was awesome. But I just had this feeling that, like, this was going to be cool. And I get a chance to talk to the president of my university and tell him, like, hey, this is what's wrong, at least in the music building. Yeah. Like, the elevator breaks. And he didn't understand why that was such a big deal. I remember our first discussion, he goes, okay, tell me what's wrong in the music building. I said, well, the elevator's been out for 2 months. And he goes, well, the elevators are out everywhere. And I said, well, that's great, but I have to carry a bass up 4 flights of stairs. Yeah. And he just looked at me for the longest time. Yeah. And then at the next donor event, they had me play. And he ended it by saying, now, folks, can you imagine she has to carry that up 4 flights of stairs? And guess what? Yeah. They got a new elevator the next month. Yeah. But it's that type of, like, I just realized I loved that ability to talk about the students, their needs, their wants. Yeah. And try and get help to that. And then also, like, try and get these donors to be like, hey, like, I'm on scholarship. You got me here. Yeah. Look at all I'm going to accomplish because of you. And hopefully that inspires them to give more so someone else gets to do that, right? Yeah. And that's what made me fall in love with academic administration, right? There's more than just teaching, there's administration. And so I went and shadowed under the dean here at UNLV and got to continue to kind of see, like, what is in this huge rabbit hole that is administration in higher ed. Mm-hmm. Having those skills, though, when I went into that job interview, it showed that I knew how to write curriculum, that I knew how to serve on a committee, that I knew how to lead a jazz band, because, like, just like you, I took your spot and I taught your band after you. Yeah. But, you know, I had that experience. I had Jazz taught 3. Some courses, Jazz 3, shout out, that I got to teach some courses, and I taught private students both at the college level and the undergrad. I mean, I had so many different things that when I went in there, it was like, oh, yeah, no, I can teach this and that and this because I've done this and this and this.
Yeah, you have the experience. You've been in the system.
And I play bass. Yeah. You know, and, like, yes, did I play for them and do all of that, like, show and have a performance? Absolutely. And is that something they value? Yes. The LSU is way into the artist. And every school was like that. They really did want someone who was qualified to play their instrument so they could teach it. But, you know, it's got to be more than that. And I really can't emphasize that enough to people. Like, do not just close the practice room door and say no to opportunities that seem weird. Like, live in the weirdness. Like, again, I really chose it because I thought a steak dinner for the donors would probably be really fancy and good. And so I was like, I want that. And so I did it. And it turned out to be, like, kind of looking into a whole world that I never knew existed, even though I've been around higher academia in my life. It was just like this, like, whoa, this is kind of cool. And now I'm like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. But it was cool to look at and to get that kind of insight. And, and
well, then you kind of have more perspective on how it all works.
I do.
And you have a better overall view of it. So any decision you're making from the position you're going to have now is like, it's going to be more informed.
And you know the jargon to use, and you know
that, that's a big thing. Yeah.
It's really, so... And if you want to be successful in whatever you do, you've really got to be dedicated to it. And you've just got to make, even if it's not something you want to do at the time, you've got to be 110% into it. Because, like, do I want to always be a graduate assistant? No. But I'm going to give it my 110% because, you know, sometimes my professors look at me and go, hey, do you mind just like teaching my class today? Here's some notes. Can you just jump in? And it's like, that is experience that you just don't get.
And look, and like we bag on like the GA thing. It's like we just, you know, whatever. But like I loved it. I really did. Like, and I don't say that a lot because like you're not supposed to love it.
Right, you're not supposed to admit
you
that.
You do get shit on a little bit.
A lot.
Mostly by other like
by
undergrad kids
undergrads.
Too.
It's not. It's by your colleagues. We're actually more like the student colleagues, not the professor colleagues.
That's what I mean. Like I came there and I felt closer to like a faculty member than I did a student, even though I was doing weird, you know, learning Wagner that course. But
you're alone in that one. I did the history of wind band conducting. So
oh damn. Well, that's a little more practical, but
yeah.
I learned more of it. It was a good course. I got like a 98 in that course.
I'm really that's impressive. Actually, you should put that grade on the wall.
Me and Crump just like honed in on it. Anyway, and I don't remember anything from it now. But
as school goes.
Sorry, Professor Barone. But no, sorry, Professor. No, I really like the fact that we could I could stand in front of a big band and conduct, and I'd get that experience and go. I actually learned at how good I was at it. I was like,
but that's
holy
the
shit,
thing.
I'm actually good at this. Like, I know how to talk to a drummer somehow.
And again,
I don't know how that happened.
You find out what you love. Like, I found out running a big band, and this actually helped me decide that I actually never applied for a bass-only teaching position.
Right.
Because I realized I got such an adrenaline rush driving home from directing Jazz 3.
Yeah.
That even though it was like 10 o'clock at night, I would stay up for like 2 hours because I was on such a buzz of like, that was great. So much fun. And again, I found a niche within that huge institution itself that I was like, I just want to do that. And even before I got the job, I really was just not going to accept being only a bass teacher because I knew that then from then on I had pigeonholed myself. Right, that's my college teaching is.
When you want variety, it's like good writing. You have to have enough variety in certain places.
Variation
is important.
And theme.
Here, let's refocus here. I'm looking at my notes. Being I don't know if you want to talk about any of the health stuff. So being a healthy balance person, like I think of it as you need a good balance of, you need to have work in order to feel like you've done something, you need to have rest, and you need to have downtime, you need to have play. So those three things need to be balanced. You can't have too much of one. You have to have a little bit of all three. It doesn't have, I'm not saying like it's an equal part thing, but there's probably work is the bigger one, but those three things to me are like, you need to have that. And like and especially when you're going through a degree, we tend to overextend ourselves.
Who does that?
And so what happened to you during your studies? Was it during your doctorate or during the
my
master's?
So I
because you did another year after I left, I think.
Yes,
right?
I did.
We overlapped
my
by a year. Okay,
that's right. I worked in the cage with you.
Yes, So for our listeners, we worked in we had this. The room is really just meant to store instruments, and then they gave the jazz GAs this other little corner. And so it would be me and Amanda on one side, and then there's just this partition of just like a drunk tank kind of like walled off cage thing. And then Molly'd be sitting at her desk,
which literally locked from the outside. Not from the inside. There was no unlock from the inside.
We could have left you in there.
Yeah, you really could have taken my keys, and that would have been it.
We've developed a lot of trust.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't even like a cutout chain link where you could jump out. Like that was it. You were one with the chain. Yeah.
Good Lord.
And then when you left, I got to go on the other side of the
there you go.
It was a big move.
I got to lock the next person.
That's right. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
But so I was in my master's, and we talk a lot about physical health.
Yeah.
A lot about physical health, which is good in music. We really need to be aware of our bodies, and I've learned a lot in this past year with body mapping of like trusting your body, and when something says it's bad, you need to stop.
My wife could talk to extensively about that because she's chronic back stuff and like talking to doctors about like, no, that's not going to work. I know, like she can tell what's going on,
But see, we don't talk about this at all. And I was sitting in a room with it was like 90% doctoral candidates, and we're in this class, and the professor's like, let's just all go around and name basically what's wrong with you. And all of us had something. Oh, I have tendonitis. Oh, I have trigger finger. Oh, I have lockjaw. Oh, I have massive lower back problem. And it's like, it was this moment where we all kind of looked at each other like, man, you're messed up too.
Yeah.
And it was like, but these things we don't talk about. And so we've learned to just kind of like store it inside, play through the pain, and suck it up because you're a musician. Yeah. But that's so detrimental. And what I had never considered though was mental stress. And I think like the quarantine was good because we're starting to talk about this more, but mental stress does physical things to you. And although that seems very benign to say, it's more than just lack of sleep. It's more than your body can do real weird stuff. And so when I was in my master's, I had only 2 months left to go. Yeah, it was February when this happened. So I had just a couple months left to go. And my arteries tore from the inside out. A super rare condition. In fact, I actually even tested, I guess it would be called negative for this condition. I technically don't have it. So the stress that my body went under was so intense that it had to react in this way. And
this is from just overall stress in general.
Well, so that's what's kind of cool. I've gone to all these I went to the Cleveland Clinic this past summer to just make sure, like, do I have an underlying condition, which probably somewhere deep in the DNA we all do, actually. And that's why, like, not to get political, but that's why it really pissed me off when people were like, oh, I'm not sick during COVID. Well, I'd never been in the hospital. I've never broken a bone. I rarely got sick. I've never been to an ER room until this day. Yeah. I was 22. Yeah. Yeah, I was 22. And I was 24. 24.
And you're in good shape. It's not you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're not obese, you're not underweight,
Super physical.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit, what happened?
So literally I ignored my body's signals that something was wrong. Yeah. And not to throw them under the bus, but so did my family and my friends. Sure. I was very vocal of like, hey, the room is spinning really bad. And I feel like I can't control my eyeballs. And like when people say the room is spinning and they're just nauseated, they have no idea the level it can be taken to. I mean, literally, my eyes would feel like they would be physically rotating, and I could not stop that rotation.
Jesus Christ, Molly.
And I remember I was playing this gig, and I was staring at the music, and I could not see center vision. So I could only see peripheral. So I actually, this video is really eerie to see. This video popped up on Facebook this year on the memory of it, and I saw that I'm like cocking my head to the side. Oh my God. And I remembered that was the gig, and I'm like trying to see, it was at Las Vegas Jazz Society. Oh yeah. And I'm trying to see peripherally the music that I cannot read. And I have this light, even though you can tell the room is lit. I have this stand light that I'm trying to move because I think that it's darkness. That God. And it was this weird moment for me to realize, like, at that moment, like, I could have had a stroke and died.
Well, that's what it sounds like, dude. That's the first thing I go to. Like,
but see, everyone else was knowing that I had come off a couple... talking to my doctors now, I completely agree. We made it to grad school. Yeah. It's not like life has not been stressful. I'm a 4.0 student since my whole entire time in college. Studying is nothing. That's not stressful to me. Right. Having a really intense packed schedule, that's what I thrive off of. That's my environment. Right. It's not like randomly one week, I decided, okay, I'm going to be type A. Let's go. Right. Yeah. So even my body to do this, it was just much more than that. It was ignoring these physical symptoms, allowing myself to be extended into working well into the night.
Yeah.
And not separating home from work and work from home. And
were you getting enough rest? Like, were you actually...
I actually don't remember. I mean, I don't sleep a lot to begin with. My brain, like, has issues slowing down. Mm-hmm. And then if I wake up, like, that's it. My brain turns on and it's like... That's the only reason why I have a document completed.
Welcome to the club. We just high-fived.
Exactly. So, like...
But so even now, like how much sleep do you get?
Maybe 4 hours on a good night, 4 to 6.
Really? Yeah. That's not enough, man.
It's not enough, but like the difference is
you've just been tired your whole life.
I don't know what sleeping is. Now I found coffee and that helps a lot.
Oh Lord. Yeah. I don't know.
That's what espresso's for. No, I'm just kidding. But
this segment brought to you by Nespresso. Swipe right.
That's that ultra like where you swipe up now. Actually, I don't know. I'm too old to know that one. I guess that exists now. I don't know. I haven't been on that.
Swipe diagonally up.
Swipe diagonally to the. Star that bitch. Anyway, so I'm sorry.
Wow.
I know
that's over my head. I don't know.
I don't either.
You're far too young for me.
Oh, that came after me. But regardless, so But to put this in perspective of who I am, I went into the ICU. I had no idea what the heck that meant. I thought that was just an ER. I thought that's just the bedroom they put you in because I was in a hallway. I didn't realize that meant like girl.
You didn't like Google like the acronym?
Of course not. And I'm never been in a hospital. Going back to that, I'm perfectly healthy. And I was like, ICU.
You don't tend to end up in the ICU when you're 22.
No idea. Yeah. I just was like, oh, it's a nice, comfy room. Like tight. And I was on a lot of drugs. So I was like, this is great. And then like...
I don't know why I'm here. I feel great.
I felt fine. And I remember I talked to the neurology team to just like let me go. So they did. And 12 hours later, I gave my master's recital. And then the days following, I found out how serious it was. Yeah. And I found out like...
Well, I remember you telling me because I played your recital and it was like you had said like some shit just happened a couple days ago.
They had made it seem like it was okay. I didn't realize it was actually... This is like what people, I think, those who are really close friends with me...
Yeah.
It was the following couple months that were probably the hardest. I was getting like blood tests every other day. Yeah. I was constantly having to go to the health center. Shout out Student Health Center. UNLV, you guys saved my life. You awesome. But anyways, so like I really did have to learn to have a more type B personality in a sense, and to just kind of like
remind me what the type A and B things are.
Type A is like you're constantly organized. You're on top of it. You're very. I don't like the word anal. I think that's a really negative contribution. It's more contribution. Oh my god, what is the word? Negative attribute. Yeah. Connotation.
Connotation.
Yes.
I had the word and then I lost it too.
Letter C for connotation. I think that's really a negative connotation because it's not that. It's just more of you don't procrastinate. Like for instance, when I had a project due, like. I would think about it weeks ahead and make sure that I'd be done at least a week before it was due. Yeah. It's just being very like on top of things and not procrastinating. So like even when you think about stress to a type A person, we don't have that type of stress of like, oh my god, it's due in 3 hours.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's less stressful to be type A.
Exactly. And the other side is some people will say like, oh, you're a very uptight person. It's not that. It's I think. Because after this, I'm just going to shout it out because go mental health. I had to go through lots of therapy. It was more actually to get some like cognitive skills back.
Okay.
And I had what's called traumatic amnesia. So like trauma, my brain was trying to recover from everything. And so I like couldn't remember really dumb things like the garage door is down. So I'd like drive home like 6 times. With knowing it was closed, but I had to show myself again, which meant I had to wake up like 40 minutes earlier because I had to account for this time of me going back.
Molly.
Yeah, it was very... So that's what I'm saying, like, it's the other side of it that was really bad.
Yeah.
And I had to really learn how to just kind of... Type B is more like, you let things happen as they come.
Yeah.
I think people with type A personality, the problem that we have, if you want to call it a problem, is our need to be controlling of every element in our life.
Right.
And almost dying taught me that you are not... There's going to be a point where you're not in control. Like when randomly your arteries are going to be like, okay, peace out.
Yeah.
And you can't control anything after that. You can't control what the diagnosis. You can't control what life is. And I will predicate this. I am perfectly healthy now, and I'm fine now. I'm actually probably better shape than I was before because from that experience. Yeah. You know, and actually going through quarantine this past couple 6 months, preparing my document, I found this book.
Yeah.
And it really was like how to structure like personal projects and different elements. And so like the night before every day, I'll write out a schedule for myself. And I give myself like 30 minutes. Yeah, sometimes, right? Yeah. And give yourself like a 30-minute, but it helps because you get off of that project that you're stuck on. Like at some point, you just got to leave it and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then learning that when I go home, even if that is leaving my office and going into the living room, whatever, you know, because work is home now in a sense. Yeah. It really is that I'm home. Like I have a wonderful, beautiful family at home that I just want to go home to. And going home and answering emails does nothing but take me away from that. And it puts my mind into that state of constantly being in work and constantly. And so I really did learn that not answering that email sometimes is a positive. It gives a chance, if it's a really serious email, for people to calm down. Yeah. And for you to come up with thoughts that are actually like, I'm not going to blow up at you right now. Yeah. Also, I've found out that people have office hours too. So you answering at 10 p.m. at night does nothing.
Yeah.
They're still not going to see it till 8 a.m. the next morning. Yeah. And with practicing even, I've had to, because although I'm not addicted to it to the point where if I don't touch my bass today, woe be it. Like it could sit in the corner for all I care. If I go 3, it'll still be there. If I go 3 days, then I'll start to feel that like,
no, I wait till you get to like a couple weeks, Molly, and then you'll really start not feeling like a musician. No, you won't get there. But I haven't touched my flute in probably a year. Yeah, probably a whole year.
I think like my addiction to my instrument is just more like I do have to regulate. Because I could get so nitpicky in details that I could be in there for hours and maybe it's doing something stupid like I'm going to just play this one bar and get it really pretty.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, though, is like just being able to say like, okay, you're done. Go take a break. If you want to keep playing after the break, you got issues. No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to fucking kill yourself if you do that. No, but I think that's a good point in that I remember watching this YouTube video of it was like Spaceship U or whatever. Yeah. It was during the pandemic, and it was talking about how now that we're all kind of thrust into working from home, or a lot of us were, like you now are in your work, which I already had experienced on a cruise ship because we sleep 2 feet from the stage that we play on,
and you can't escape it.
Well, it's like living in the office building you work in, right? But in the same respect, at home, like at least here, I have my own space. I have a couch. I have a TV room, whatever. I'm good. It's my own space. But it was the video was basically saying like make clear distinctions of both spatially and in your schedule of when is downtime, when is work time, because that exactly what you're talking about, like being constantly in work mode. Yeah. Like, cause now, and I'm still figuring that out too, because I come home, early in the afternoon. It's not like I work, it's a 6-hour a day job. It's still a full-time job, but it's like I come home and I have a couple extra hours that most people don't before dinner to like do my stuff. And I find that if I do stuff in that time, then it's like awesome. And I can get more work done than if I go and maybe I go exercise or something and then come back and then kind of piddle around and like maybe read or like maybe watch a TV show or play a video game, and then it's dinner time. After dinner time, I'm just like, like I don't want to do anything because I think my body's saying just don't. Now is not the time. So it's like I feel like I have to get things done during the day or in the morning. In order to get any kind of motivation going.
And that's like, people used to make fun of me a lot, even before the dissection, I always got to school at like 7 a.m. and would practice then. Yeah. But there were 2 reasons behind that. One, I knew that that's the time my brain works. Like, I am not the person to come in at 9 p.m.
You're fresh. You've just been rested a little bit anyway.
Well, and everybody's different. Like, I have a friend, and that's the only time he does function is 9 p.m. at night. And it's like, well, good for you, but I can't. Like, honestly, if you get me past 5, I don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
I can't, and I get more frustrated easier too, which is really bad when I'm practicing. Like I have to be in a pretty happy space to practice.
Yeah.
And so, waking up early, and also then I had no excuses.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I did pick up in myself. I took academics very seriously because I knew that it would let me continue to be in academics. Like I knew that if my grades went down, I want to be able to go to grad school.
Yeah.
Like I knew that. So if I needed to study, that would prioritize over practicing.
Yeah.
And so if I did in the morning, it was done. It was something off my list that I knew I had to do. Yeah. But it was done. Yeah. And you just have to find when you work best, and you have to make the time in your schedule. As weird as that sounds, like it does exist if you sit down and you write it out and you just go, okay.
And now and then make it a habit, and then you don't have to worry about the writing down part, because it's just like now it's my regular routine.
Well, and if you sometimes that writing it out too, like if it's a day that you really can't remember quite everything. Yeah. If you do that before bed, then you'd be amazed that your brain really does
and then
drop the information and it's on.
You're not thinking about, Christ, what am I forgetting for tomorrow?
And then it's there, so you don't forget. So when you have a memory like mine, you don't go, what did I do at 9 a.m. tomorrow? Like it's there, and it's a good catch. And, like it's weird to say this to some people. They don't quite understand, but like going through that whole process was actually the most positive experience of my life at the end of it. Like I actually am so happy that happened to me. Yeah. It needed to happen, and the fact it happened at a young age meant I could heal so quickly. And that's and the fact that it happened at a young age showed me that, like, people say this all the time, and I don't think they actually understand what it means, but life is not predictable. And life really can just be changed or taken away from you in an instant. I can't go rock climbing anymore. I'm a very, very active person, actually. And there are many things I cannot do anymore. I am handicapped. I have one of those, invisible handicaps. Right. But I used to lift weights a lot. Can't do that anymore. There are things that were taken away from me. Wow. And there are elements in my life that I'll never get to do again. Or if I do, I'll know it's at great risk. And I have to kind of decide, okay. You have
to adapt.
Yeah. And decide, is it worth this over this? But that whole idea that, like, life is valuable, and that term YOLO is really, like, actually, there is some truth in it. You just actually don't know when things are going to change. And life ending doesn't always have to be you dying. It can be the thing you love the most got taken away from you.
And you don't, and that's not as much of a headline, right?
Exactly. But, and on top of it, like, I think that's why also separating life from work, like home from work, is really meaningful to me now, because I want to spend that time like at home with the people I love. Yeah. I want to see my friends. I want to do these things that I used to take away from myself because I was so set on, like, I need to graduate in this timeline because some dude told me that. And for what? And I think, like, that's why having this whole medical crisis taught me the fragility of life. But again, it extends more, like, you could die one day. It is so much more than that. Yeah. And that's what I've also, like, in some of these, like, kind of group therapy sessions, and some of the people that I get to encounter who work for, like, HR for disabilities people, we always talk about the day our life changed. Like, one of my, she was my representative at the Disabilities Resource Center. She was in a full wheelchair, had to have full assistance, and we were talking, and she wasn't like that always. Yeah. She had one day. Yeah. And then that one day, everything changed. But both of us had the same outlook of life. Like, it was a positive experience. And so the thing that I can only express to people enough is, don't get so bogged down into one thing that you stress out over elements that you don't have control over. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, there will always be something bad that happens in your day or in your week or in your month. There's always that colleague that you're going to have issues with. Every job and every element of life, there's going to be, I've got to be around that person, and that person makes me feel this way. And you got to just either take that element out of your life, or you just got to find the positive out of different elements and concentrate on that and try. As hard as this is, because I'm still not good at this, but you do have to let things go. Yeah. Things do pass, and in a year, you probably won't remember half the stuff you did. and like
it's all the minutia of daily life,
But that whole idea of like mental health is not important is just such a lie and a facade. And then the idea of like,
well, it's that it takes, like, I don't think anyone's saying like, well, I don't think anyone's overtly saying like, don't worry about your mental health, but it's like, it doesn't take the spot that it should in precedence.
Well, I mean, I come from a family, I love them all, so sorry guys, but where it really was the mentality of just rub some dirt on it. Like that was
that's not just your family, that's the whole
world
generation
too.
Before us.
Well, and there's this idea that we work and work and work and work and work so that you can kind of afford rent,
right?
And that's kind of
we work so that we can work to
that we can work some more. And
look at all that work I'm getting because of this work I did.
So like during the pandemic, I remember we'd go hiking once a week.
Yeah.
Like it was a stressful time in our household because I have a nurse in the, at home, and it was just kind of like constantly living in COVID.
Right.
And so we just had to get actually physically away from the house, from the city, from people, from the television, the radio, so we'd go hiking and where there's like no service, but it was beautiful, and it was just these moments. Oh my God, like
I gotta do that soon, man, because like
we live so close to Zion, and like going up to southern Utah is beautiful. Even like up here in Mount Charleston is beautiful. Like, and we would just do these things like 20-minute drive to go on, even if it's just a 10-minute hike. You'd be amazed, like hearing the trail with no one on it, and you just hear this crunch underneath your feet. And then you just kind of like get it. We totally white girl hike, you like go a little bit, you take some pictures, and then you like take some more pictures, and you go like half a mile, and you're like, that was good. And then
it's
you
like,
go
okay,
down.
Got enough for Instagram. Let's
leave. Let's go. Let's get in our car. Let's bring our dog, our little shih tzu, and let's bring a dog and like
our
hiking.
Shih tzu.
Yeah, we have a Shih Tzu poodle.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
A shit poo.
A shit poo.
Wow.
But those are the things like, like
it makes a huge difference in just like your mental space.
It's a reset.
Reset, man. Yeah. No, and I think that needs to happen every day to a certain extent, but then you also need these larger, like, let's really reset.
And it's something to look forward to in the week. So when those negative things happen, you go, like, for some reason we've been going to the M now, like for $20, you can go into their resort pool, and it's heated, and you can just they have like these shelves built in with like little plastic chairs, and it's like we just realized it's like, okay, that's $40 a week that we might spend like every couple of weeks to just go sit, relax, get away, feel like we're on vacation, even though we're not, we're still in where we live, but like you get that moment, and then it is amazing. You walk away and it's like you feel like you can address those things that you couldn't, and I really mean it. Like, you just don't know internally what your body is trying to do because you're depriving it of sleep, of relaxation, of resetting, and I still to this day, I don't think it's because of all of the different things I had going on at that time. Because I look back at that time over and over again, it's like I had all of that under control. Yeah. Like, I could have played that recital 3 months earlier. That was not even a problem. Right. And I was with my friends, so I knew it would be fun just because I get to play with my friends. Yeah. It had nothing to do with that. It was just I had not given myself a reset. I had just taken on the next big project, and like, here we go, and then I'm going to take this next project on, and then here we go.
It's like people who like don't ever shut their computer off, and then they run it for 3 years, and then it's like, what's wrong with my computer? That's your brain.
Real. It is. Yeah. So.
This is fantastic. We're running close to 2 hours now, so it might need to be a two-parter, but that's okay. That's totally fine because it's all quality. Is there anything you wanted to plug? Whether it be, I don't know if you have a website or if that's something.
I have to. That's one of the first things I'm going to be doing is creating a website, and I'm hoping to come out with an album probably within the next year. Actually,
nice.
It's one of the first big projects.
I'll have to have you back on then.
Yeah, it'll be really fun, and then.
Assuming I'm a huge hit in the podcast world by then, and I can give you a proper signal boost because right now, we'll see. Yeah. Well, I'm flattered you think so, but I'll show you my analytics.
Believe in yourself. I know.
This
episode is really sponsored by cats.
She's silent. She won't say anything.
It's okay. We're all camera shy.
Struggling.
There's no camera, but whatever.
Microphone shy. I mean, what if you go to LSU and you want to learn jazz bass, or what are the other?
I'm teaching jazz arranging and composition, jazz history.
Yeah.
I'm teaching the second ensemble and a couple of combos. And
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up my tuba chops again, so I can go join.
Oh my god, yeah, bands. I remember that. I remember you just like whipped out a euphonium one time and just started like. I was like, whoa! Molly knows other instruments.
Yay!
It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
It's been so much fun, Michael.
Thank
you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You're giving me good content, and it's just a good conversation. It's good to catch up.
Yeah,
always. And you're my first female guest.
Yes.
So now that I have my diversity hire,
yes,
you can get the hell out of here.
I was gonna say. So now that you've fulfilled your Title IX requirement,
go hiking or whatever it is you broads do nowadays.
Well, I have to go home and vacuum.
Yeah.
I think that's what women do. I have to dust.
I like how disconnected from that world you are. It gives me hope for the future.
I like
those are the things you thought of. Oh, cool. My cat's puking. That's perfect.
That's a sign to stop talking about Santa.
She walked out of the room. She's like, that's what I think of that segment. Cool. That was episode 8. I think we learned a lot. Mind your health. And don't overfeed your cats. Another congrats to Professor Molly Redfield. Keep an eye out for her future album and all the great things she's going to do down at LSU. All right, now it's off to episode 9. I'm going to climb in this circus cannon and shoot myself over there. Okay, just light. Oh, here we go.